Alright, I hope everybody's doing good today. It's almost the middle of the week, thank goodness. Working weeks can be stressful, but now I'm going to start in Genesis. And this you're going to be getting a history lesson, science lesson, biology lesson, everything basically. Genesis is the first book of the Bible. Trying to angle my camera right. I'm having to hold it and look down at my Bible at the same time, and not to be too shaky, give you a headache watching. But Genesis, I'll start, in chapter 1. Genesis is written by Moses, and the reason I say that is because he was the main one that spent most of the time with God, face to face, basically, with him for days and days up on the mount and all that in the wilderness. So, but Genesis chapter 1's basically like a lullaby. It's the creation. You think, everybody knows of the creation, they've heard of it, and but it's surprising there's people in the world that hasn't heard of the creation. There's people in the world that hasn't heard about the Bible or Jesus or God, because they're just out in the third world countries and doing their traditions. They're worshiping their gods and getting by. I do have to give it to the people. That's out there, building their little, their huts and stuff, and no power and catching their food, yet they're surviving. And a lot of us today in the society that we're in, we're lucky and blessed to have what we have. Power, running water. Go to the grocery stores to buy food. And a lot of people don't have that. So, but anyway, with Genesis, he creates. The days, the nights, the land, the animals, the trees, the people, the birds. But if you notice in, I'm not going to tell you the order it goes in. I'm just going to just sum it up, basically. But the thing that sticks out to me is in basically the first two verses. It says, in the beginning, he created the heaven and the earth. So if you think about that, that was in the beginning. Now you look at the earth's billions and billions of years old, scientific fact. And, it's had its ages, the prehistoric ages, you got the dinosaurs, you got the ice age and all that, and a lot of that isn't mentioned in the Bible. And so, but it's scientific proof. So does that mean the Bible's wrong? Basically, in the beginning he created the heaven and the earth. And then all of a sudden in verse 2, the earth was void and without form. And darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. So, if it was void and without form, God creates things and he sees it good. He sees it perfect. So why would he create something without form and it was void? And then you notice his Spirit moved upon the face of the deep and the face of the waters. So, could the earth have been just covered in water like a flood? Could the earth, besides the flood of Noah, could there have been another flood in the earth? It's just things to think about. But, he created everything. He created the light, the sun, the moon, the clouds, everything. He created the heavens, the sky, the planets, everything. But in chapter 2, he made man. He formed Adam from the dirt, from the dust. He breathed into his nostrils. Now there's, scientists believe in evolution. They believe we came from monkeys. Some people believe we came from a glob of something, But there's no proof for either one. And it's just like this. There's no proof that we're made in God's image. There's no proof. No one's seen God, so how do we know? And then, but then again, how do you know you're not made from monkeys? Or how do you know we're not made from a glob from space somewhere that fell on the planet, just plowed and became a human? That's just something we have to have faith in, that we are made in the image of God and that he did that. And as we go through the Bible and stuff, you'll see, it lines up things that's happening now. I believe it's true. But so he made Adam and he named all the animals, but then God seen that it wasn't good for him to be alone. So he put Adam in deep sleep, took his rib, and made Eve, the woman. And then the man, it says the man shall leave his father and his mother and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. Now you think about one flesh, it's equal. Today is not equal, which later on in verse 3, the fall of man, where Satan, the serpent, tempts Eve to eat the fruit which they was forbidden not to eat of, and then she gave it to Adam and ate. And then it says, she'll have sorrows through conception and stuff, and the man will have to work and till the ground, sweat to, earn his keeps, basically. So, you think about that. They was equal at first, and then she fell. She got tempted, the fruit looked good to her eyes, and she desired it. It's like things in our lives today look good, and it looks good. It's like, well, let me try that. But then we don't see the consequences of it. Even though it looks good to us, it could be a bad consequence, no matter what it is. You look at a woman and you're single, like, oh man, she looks good, like she's the best looking thing. I want to have her around all the time. Then you get with her and she can't cook, can't clean. She's a snobby, witchy woman. So, just because things look good doesn't mean they're really good. And with her, she fell. First they was one flesh, and in her sorrow, she was beneath the man. But look at it today. That curse hasn't been lifted because women shrink beneath the man now. The men, there's a lot of men that are supposed to work for what they get and they don't work. They're sorry and lazy, don't even help take care of their kids, or even if they're separated, they don't pay child support. The women's stuck with the load. And then there's a lot of women that is sorry. You let the kids go around dirty, don't cook, don't clean. Don't even work. Anything. It's like, what happened to that curse? So, they had the judgment, and then they got kicked out of Eden, which was in Iraq. It was where the rivers parted. You can look on a map. So, they saw they was naked, and then they got kicked out of Eden because their eyes was open, and God knew their eyes was open. So, but also, if you think of this too, there's scientific fact that men has existed for nearly 6,000 years, a little over. Now that's scientific fact, and this timeline is based on around 6,000 years from when Adam was here or created. So you can take it as you will. Prove me wrong. Look it up. Research it. And then let's see here. I'm getting stumbled again. So basically, chapter 1, 2, and 3 was the creation of man, and their fall. If you think before their eyes was open, they didn't have a conscience. They was just like robots. They didn't know right from wrong. They didn't know pain. They didn't know sorrow. They didn't know suffering. They didn't know happiness or sadness. They was just going with emotions, and all of a sudden their eyes was open when Eve was beguiled by the serpent, and then they saw they was naked. He looked at her, she looked at him, he's like, what's them bosoms on your chest, and she looked at him and looked down and was like, what's that thing? And then their eyes was open. They didn't have rights. They didn't have a freedom of thought, of choices. They just was. So now they have emotions, they have anger, love, hate, because they know their minds are now to where they can comprehend things and choose right from wrong. In chapter 4, Adam gets with his wife. They have children, Cain and Abel. Now, it doesn't say about other kids, it just mentions them, and then later on it'll mention Seth. But I'm not sure why it does this. I don't know if it's just following a certain line of genealogy leading down to Christ, of the seeds, passing down to the seeds and all that, because you only hear about certain people and their children for a limited time, and then it just cuts off. But it follows Christ all the way back to Adam. But anyway, Cain and Abel. Abel was a shearer of the sheep. He kept the sheep. He was a shepherd. Cain worked the field. He tilled the grounds, planted food and fruit, and harvested. But then they went to bring their offering to Christ, or to God, and God had more favor in Abel's offering. And Cain was mad and jealous. And, Cain brought his offering, but Abel brought the best he had. I'm not sure, and a lot of times with us, we got to give God our best. And not half-heartedly, because God will show more honor to the person that gives him the best of what they have. I'm not saying go kill a sheep and offer it to him, but just yourself. Yourself is your offer to him, because he bought us with a price, and we're his, and it's up to us to offer ourselves to him, to be the best offering to him that we can be, with our choices, our lifestyles, with the way we do things, the way we think, the way we live. So Cain was jealous, and he killed Abel. Now, if you think about that, jealousy is a tough thing. Some say it's an emotion, some say it's just a feeling, but I think it's a spirit. I think a lot of things that we have, what we got going on with our emotions, with our thoughts, with why we do things, I believe we have choices, but at the same time, I believe spirits. We have spirits of emotion, spirits of jealousy, spirits of anger, spirit of happiness. It's a spirit. But he killed him. So if you think about that, his own brother killed him. Now, could it be in that time, they was old, back in the day, they was basically, savages, Stone Age and stuff. And today we're in a different society of, civilization. But he killed him. And that's his own brother. So if you think about that, we have family today. We have brothers, sisters, cousins, aunts, uncles, all that. But there's jealousy. There's hate. People are haters. And, people don't like to see you doing good. Even your own family don't. I'm not trying to say family's bad. Family's good. They'll always be there for us. But at the same time, if we're going to have haters and people jealous of us, and people think bad thoughts against other people that are doing good, that are doing better than they are, and that's a shame that it's like that, but it is. And just this with Cain killing Abel is not the only time you're going to see in this Bible of family members being jealous of another one because they're doing better than they are. So Cain had his kids and stuff, or God asked him, "Where's your brother?" His brother's blood crossed from the ground. So that's our first sign of there's a life after death, because his blood's crying from the ground. Cain's like, "Well, am I my brother's keeper?" So Cain was scared, because people was going to kill him. So who would have killed him? Because it said, Lord, let's see, where's that here? Okay. Yeah, God told him, told Cain that he's cursed from the earth, and which hath opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood in thy hand, from thy hand. And he told him when he tills the ground, it will not yield fruit to him and stuff. And Cain said the punishment is greater than, am I even pointing myself, greater than he can bear. Then Cain told him, whoever slayeth, or the Lord told him, whoever slays Cain, vengeance shall be on him. And God set a mark on Cain so no one would kill him. So who would have killed him? Did they have other brothers and sisters that would kill him, or is there other people in the land? And then he fled. Cain left, and he built a city called Enoch. And he went to the land. He went to the land of Nod. So was there people in that land of Nod? Why was it called Nod? Cain just went to the place and it's called Nod. So had somebody else already established land there called Nod, or was it just called Nod because God said it was Nod? But he built a place and called it Enoch. So yeah, he built a city after son. He had more kids, and then it goes down their lineage and stuff. And then Adam got with Eve again and had Seth. So so they had Seth, and then they had other sons, and they kept having sons, and then it goes down for the lineage from Adam to Noah. But then there's one person after they was having the kids through the generations from Seth, Adam to Seth to Noah. From that generation down, So Cain is out of that. So Seth is the righteous seed that leads down to Noah, which leads later on down to David, and later on to Christ. But they have years and years, because they was living 900 to 1,000 years apiece. So they had a lot of babies. But they went on down, and then we get to Enoch. So through down the years, everybody would live, have the kids, die, and be gathered to their people, which is their afterlife. Was it in heaven? Hell? I don't know. Because everybody, even through the Bible, you see their enemies died and they was gathered to their people. So, I mean, could they have been in hell? Or would they have been in heaven? Or would they have been in another place? Because there's another place called paradise. And when Christ came and died, he defeated death, hell, and the grave. And he got the keys to hell. And I believe that the people was resting. They was asleep in peace. And then when Christ came, when he died, was crucified and gave up his ghost, that he saw all the people and they chose to follow him, or they chose to reject him, I believe. But Enoch, he lived with God. He walked with the Lord. But he didn't see death, for God took him up. Now, if you think about that, he took him up. He was raptured away. He didn't die. He just went up. I mean, that's just amazing and incomprehensive, really, because, I mean, you think about it. I mean, just going up. I mean, his flesh just going straight up. I mean, you get to the certain outer limits of the, you know, the earth and stuff, the atmospheres and all that, and the, I don't know what you call it. You can tell I didn't pay attention to school. But the parts you go down and the rockets will get hot and it gets hotter and hotter and stuff. I mean, he would have just disintegrated going up. So, he went up. And then it goes on down, and then it gets to Noah. And he had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And then now, we are at the part where God brings the flood on the earth because of the sins of man and the wickedness of man. So we will start that one later on. I want to get this because I don't want to make the video too long to where it won't load on my computer and the computer burn up. But, so, I mean, it's just amazing how you feel if you just read one verse a day. I mean, you got stress in our lives. We got problems. But just to have something just to think upon, I mean, that it gives you peace. I mean, if you just read one verse or one chapter a day, you may not understand it as you read it, but if you just think upon it all day long, I mean, as you're working, as you're doing, I mean, as you're going through your everyday life, if you just think about that chapter that you read, it makes you think. You know, it'll give you peace. If you give you a sense of mind and a peace of mind to where it'll open your eyes to things, and then God will give you the answers to the questions that you have, and He'll show you that verse and show you that chapter and give you the meaning of it and open your eyes and just make you see things. And you know, through all that, you'll be amazed at how much peace and sense of peace that you have. The everyday things in life that normally bothers you wouldn't bother you. I mean, the stress, the aggravation, the anger, co-workers getting on your nerves, you wouldn't think twice about it just because of you reading that chapter and you just dwelling upon it and thinking upon it. You know, you're thinking of things not of this world rather than things that are of this world. I mean, even though I'm here, I'm still not of this world. And I believe that. Yet I fall into temptation, I fall into things of this world. You know, some say, he who loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. And, you know, it makes me wonder about that sometimes. But at the same time, even though I feel a peace inside of me because I'm just a weary, lost sheep. But yet the shepherd's not too far away to pull me back in when I get too far out. So, hopefully this wasn't too stumbly, but it's just basically a summary of Genesis chapter 1 through 5. Basically from the creation, Adam, Eve, their fall, them getting kicked out of the garden, you know, her being beguiled by the serpent. The serpent was cursed.